in the snap. And it keeps it himself on the quarterback option, runs right side, he is in. Touchdown Buffalo, the Bills get the lead back again. Josh firing deep down near the end zone, looking for Diggs, he's got it. Touchdown! Touchdown Buffalo! There's Stephon Diggs, a 35-yard hookup with Josh Allen. Touchdown Bills! The pass, it is caught by Diggs, gets a few blocks and he goes into the end zone. He is in. Touchdown Buffalo! Lamar Jackson back to throw, guns it into the end zone, intercepted! 2 yards deep in the end zone, intercepted by Taron Johnson. 10, 5, touchdown! Touchdown! Taron Johnson goes 102 yards with an end zone interception. Touchdown Buffalo!
The 2021 schedule is finally here. So many games to preview and so many opponents to break down. Welcome into the Bills 2021 schedule release special, sponsored by Aloft at 500 Pearl, by Ellicott Development, an official hotel partner of the Buffalo Bills. I'm Maddie Glab, and I'm joined by Bills insider Chris Brown. Tickets are available at 8 o'clock tonight, guys, so make sure you visit buffalobills.com/2021 tickets. We'll also be joined by defensive lineman Harrison Phillips in just a few minutes. 17 regular season games and a lot of exciting matchups. So let's get into it. We already know week 1.
Yeah.
At home against the Pittsburgh Steelers, Sunday, September 12th at 1 o'clock kick. And Chris, over the last 2 seasons, the Steelers have kind of felt like a rival to the Buffalo Bills. Thankfully, the Bills have beat them in both meetings last year in week 14 and then in week 15, 2019. I mean, this offseason was all about putting weapons around Big Ben. You have Juju Smith-Schuster who comes back. They drafted Alabama running back Najee Harris, and they do lose Bud Dupree, a new offensive coordinator. So what do you make of this week 1 matchup and how the NFL schedule?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me. I know a lot of people were hoping for a primetime game right out of the chute here in week 1, but you know, we talked to NFL Vice President of Broadcast Planning Mike North on One Bills Live today, and he indicated that a Bills-Bucs matchup later in the season was deemed to have more value because of likely playoff implications rather than having them kick off the season. So I get that. And Buffalo-Pittsburgh is still a strong home opener for Bills fans. And, you know, you look at that matchup, Maddie, and the Bills have had the better of it the last 2 years, as you mentioned. The previous 6 were won by Pittsburgh. So the worm has turned now, and I think Pittsburgh is desperately trying to hold on to a bygone era. The primetime years of Big Ben are no more. They're rebuilding that offensive line, and in week 1, I don't know if it's going to be humming along yet. So advantage Bills I see in that one.
I like that. There's going to be an 18-week regular season this year. We all know that with the 17th added game. The regular season is going to end for Buffalo on January 9th. The Super Bowl slated to happen on February 13th. How do you digest the extra game? Maybe how it's going to affect the Bills and the NFL as a whole this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think there is going to have to be a little extra planning on the part of coaches. You know, your sports science department, like the Bills have here, I think is going to be even more valuable this year in terms of load management, things like that. I think the Bills and other playoff teams go into this season with an advantage because they're used to playing a couple of extra games. Bills did that last year. They did it the year prior going to the playoffs. I think it's going to be weird for us because the final week of the regular season is January 9th.
What?
That's usually the wild card weekend.
I know.
And we're going to still be playing regular season football. And for those teams that have bye weeks really early, week 4, week 5, that 12, 13-game stretch on the back half of that, that's a long haul. If you get the injury bug and it bites your team hard, it's going to be a tough haul those last 12, 13 weeks.
Well, as you look at the opponents, the Bills had a daunting schedule last year. They had the 5th hardest schedule per strength of schedule rankings. This year, that's not the case. They have the 23rd hardest schedule, a.k.a. the 9th easiest. So you kind of flip the script a little bit, but looking at the opponents, it's still a schedule where there's a lot of teams that have question marks entering the season. So I think this could easily turn into a hard schedule if some of those question mark teams turn into actual really great teams over the course of the season.
Yeah, I mean, the fact remains that there are 7 teams that have a better than 500 record. I think there's 5 teams that have had 10 wins or more last year, actually 6. and you got to play the Dolphins twice, and they're hoping they're a better team second year with Tua. But at the same time, you've got 9 games against teams under 500 and some teams that were healthily below 500, like way below 500. Like the Jets, are they going to be better this year? 2 or 3, 4-win teams. The Falcons only won 4 games last year. They're not going to be able to hang with the Bills. I just don't see it.
I like the confidence already. It's 7:45. That means here it is, the 2021 schedule. Check it out, my friends. You're seeing the first half right here. So as we digest this and get into all of this, okay, so you're seeing Chiefs, Titans are 2 of the primetime games that we can currently see right now. The Bills have 4 total primetime games this season with the potential for 1 to get flexed later on. Their first one, Week 5, Sunday Night Football in Kansas City. Then in Week 6, they will stay on the road for Monday Night Football against the Tennessee Titans. Their next 2 primetime games also back-to-back. How about some Thanksgiving football on Week 12 against the New Orleans Saints? And the Bills will draw the late game on Thanksgiving. Their final scheduled primetime game will be Week 13, another Monday night game, this one against the New England Patriots. So, Chris, as you're looking at all of these games, specifically talking about the primetime games, do you think the Bills are getting the respect they deserve here in 2021 with how everything's scheduled?
Yeah, I think so. It's interesting that they're scheduled back-to-back. They had 2 of their primetime games scheduled back-to-back last year when they did San Francisco, and then I believe it was New England after that. But you look at this one, and both sets of primetime games are in back-to-back fashion, and they've got Tennessee and Kansas City sandwiched together just like last year. They're just in a different order. Kansas City first, Tennessee second. But, yeah, I think they absolutely are getting a respect. The maximum an NFL club can have in terms of primetime games in one season is 5 games. That's the maximum. They got 4 for the second year in a row. And I think the fact is this, Maddie. They've got clearly an entertaining style of play on offense. They have a marquee quarterback. The network partners want the Bills in prime time because they know entertaining football is going to drive ratings, and that's what the Bills are right now.
And when you look at tough stretches, hard stretches for this team this season, they get the 2 when you're going to see the Chiefs and the Titans Week 5, Week 6. But then the longer stretch and the tougher stretch comes Weeks 11 through 14 when they'll face the Colts, Saints, Patriots, and Bucks. But let's get into a couple of those matchups. Let's hit the Chiefs first because they're the first one on the schedule, talking about primetime games. Week 5, Sunday Night Football. I mean, you have Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and their slew of weapons on both sides. The Chiefs traded draft capital for an offensive tackle in Orlando Brown. They added Kyle Long and Joe Thuney to help strengthen their offensive line. The Bills lost to the Chiefs twice last season. So do you expect these Chiefs to take a step forward in 2021, or are the Bills going to have their way? Is the third time going to be a charm for Buffalo?
Yeah, I don't know that they're going to have their way. I mean, the Chiefs are still the top dog in the AFC. I mean, they've been to the AFC title game 3 straight years, been to 2 Super Bowls, won 1. So, you look at that, and I think the key here is how quickly can Buffalo's pass rush come along through the first month of the season, and can those rookies show up in pass rushing situations to help fortify that pass rush, whether it's Greg Rousseau kicking inside, maybe with Mario Addison, and then you've got Basham and Hughes coming on the outside on obvious passing downs. You're going to have to chase Patrick Mahomes down, much like the Tampa Bay Bucks did in the Super Bowl last year. If your pass rush is coming on by the time you get to that game in Week 5, you probably have a better chance to hold the Chiefs in check, and maybe instead of having to score 38, 40 points to beat them, maybe you only need to put 28 or 30 on the board to get a victory. That's going to be the dynamic of that matchup that's going to have to change considerably for the Bills to have a chance.
And let's go to the following week against the Titans, some Monday Night Football. I think this game last season, it's a hard loss for fans to get over against the Titans last year. This was a game that was scheduled, rescheduled, scheduled. I mean, we couldn't figure out what day this game was going to be played, and the Bills did not look like themselves when they faced them last season. But they get another chance this season. The Titans lost tight end Jonnu Smith, receiver Corey Davis, but they added to their defense in free agency Bud Dupree, Janoris Jenkins. They also draft the corner Caleb Farley in the first round. So do you think the Bills have the advantage in this matchup this season?
I think they do, because I think they're the better team. They did the better job of keeping their roster intact. You mentioned some of the changes. They had the reason they made changes on defense was because they completely gutted their secondary, cut a lot of high-priced veteran players that didn't get the job done anyway. I mean, they were 30th or 32nd against the pass last year. They were awful. So they had a gutted secondary that they've replenished. They retooled their defensive line and made changes on their offensive line. They're also counting on a lot of younger players at the receiver position with Corey Davis out the door. It's A.J. Brown and a bunch of guys. So that's a lot to put together in the front half of your season. So I think the Bills, from a continuity standpoint and from a pure talent standpoint, top to bottom, have a decided advantage here, and they're going to go in there motivated, knowing they stunk up the joint last year and probably played their worst game of the regular season that week. They're going to be motivated to show that they're better than that.
Let's bounce to Week 12. Bills and Saints on Turkey Day. No Drew Brees this year. Can Jameis Winston flourish in his 7th NFL season? Or what about Taysom Hill? Bills wide receiver Emmanuel Sanders will face his former team. The Saints used free agency to do whatever they could to get under that cap. They drafted defensive end Peyton Turner in the first round. So is this the right time for the Bills to face a team that's typically really good every single year with these types of question marks on this roster?
Yeah, I mean, back half of the schedule, by that time, Jameis Winston settled in at the quarterback position. The questions, hopefully for him, have gone away about how he's going to succeed Brees. But they're going to have to lean on Kamara, and that's a heck of a guy to lean on. I think the Saints will be a competitive team. The Michael Thomas-Trey White matchup is must-see football. But, again, losses in free agency. Trey Hendrickson is in Cincinnati, one of their best pass rushers. Cameron Jordan is very long in the tooth. Janoris Jenkins is playing in Tennessee now, their second corner. So it's Marshawn Lattimore and who else? So I think there's change that they have to account for and make up for. And I don't know if they're going to be able to make up for all the holes they're filling in this offseason. They're always tough at home. We know that. But I think the Bills got a shot in this one.
And let's hit one more. Week 14 against the Super Bowl defending champs. And the Bucs wanted to keep the band back together, and that's exactly what they did. They returned all 22 starters from their Super Bowl roster. They drafted defensive end Joe Tryon from Washington in the first round. Not too many holes on this roster. So how can Buffalo maybe come out on top against the champs from this past season?
What you have to hope for in this one is that Buffalo's offensive line is a well-oiled machine coming into this game, because their pass rush is fierce. Their defensive interior is fierce. I mean, it's almost all top talent across the front there. We saw what they did to Patrick Mahomes. He ran over 400 yards scrambling around in the Super Bowl. They're going to try to do the same thing to Josh Allen. The line has to have their best game of the year, and then Josh has to be the most disciplined passer he can be, because those two cover linebackers, Levante David and Devin White, are unbelievable. They are probably the most athletic combination of linebackers in the entire National Football League. You got to have ways to go away from them and still be productive in the pass game. If they can do that, they should be in the football game, but they got to come to play, because there is talent top to. It might be the most complete roster in football.
Yeah, I think you're right on that one. Well, we'd like to welcome in one of our defensive linemen on the Buffalo Bills. It's Harrison Phillips, who's had a chance to take a look at this 2021 schedule. We want to get his thoughts and a little bit more. So, Harrison, the schedule just got released. What are you most excited about for this season and everything that's coming up here?
Well, shoot. I mean, this is always a fun night to see the schedule for the first time. It gets the buzz really going about football. Combine came and went, draft came and went, and now when the schedule comes out, it starts to kind of get real. I think I always want to find where the bye week is and what the primetime games are. So that's immediately where I went to first. I think that stretch of the two away games on primetime, what is that? At Chiefs and at the Titans. Those are two night games. It's always fun to play under the lights ever since we were little kids, Friday night lights, high school football. And so I immediately went there. And then obviously anytime you get the chance to, go play the defending Super Bowl champions and Tom Brady, I like that we got the 4:25 game there. and then I always check the date of the Super Bowl.
And then what do you like? It looks like the toughest stretch there, Harrison, is that week 11 of week 14 stretch. I know a lot can change, but on paper anyway right now, Indy, a team that gave you a good fight in the wild card last year, then short rest to New Orleans, followed by New England on a Monday night, and then Tampa, the game you mentioned already. That looks like a tricky stretch anyway on paper.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's also a true test of, you want to be playing your best football in November and December. And so that's a really good test to kind of show, are we hitting on all cylinders? Are we catching our stride at the right time as we go in through, to finish off then, like you said, we'll have New England and the Jets. We'll have New England twice left up there on the season to, hopefully be going for another AFC East championship.
So, Harrison, we could stay on here and ask you a bunch of questions about the schedule and get some maybe good responses. I mean, you're great at responding to questions, but we want to have a little bit more fun when it comes to the schedule. So, how about some of our biggest games in movie title format? We'll throw a couple games at you, and you give us a movie title that would maybe premiere on the night of the game. So the first one, I'm going to give you Steelers. Week 1, what's your movie title?
Well, week 1 is always in the front of everyone's mind is like, it's the true test, right? Preseason, you don't really know, training camp, but week 1, you really get to kind of show what type of team you are. So I'm going to go something with like the movie Troy. You know how in the movie Troy, the Trojan horse comes in kind of silent in the middle of the night, and then they all come out and wreak havoc. So maybe like, the Battle of Troy in Orchard Park, or the Battle.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a home game. It's a home game, correct?
Yes, you are right. Orchard Park is where it's going to go down.
And brand new naming rights of our stadium, something like that. So there would be my week 1.
All right, we're a little short on time, but let's jump ahead to that Chiefs game. What do you have for Chiefs movie title-wise?
Definitely a payback, some type of payback, a tale of an AFC championship revenge.
There you go.
Getting back at it.
All right, should we do one more?
Do the Bucks.
Do the Bucks? All right, we've got time for one more, Harrison. So give us the Bucks. 425 kick. What are you thinking for that one?
Well, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, maybe something along the line of like kicking booty and taking names.
A little pirate reference.
I like it.
Nice. That might stick.
Good job on the creativity there, Harrison. The Stanford education shining through there. Well done.
The Season in Movie Titles by Harrison Phillips. We love it. Harrison, thank you so much for jumping on, giving us your take on this schedule and also some cool movie titles. We appreciate the time.
Thank you guys very much. Always good to be on.
All right, we'll see you later, Harrison. Let's wrap this thing up with some AFC East talk. And as you look at this division as a whole, there is just a lot of questions about these teams. We can combine the Jets and the Dolphins together because I think the questions remain with their offense and with the quarterback. Jets, you're looking at Zach Wilson, and you're looking at some of the talents around him that they drafted, that they tried to put around him this year. Robert Saleh, his first season. The Dolphins, they're committing to Tua. They put weapons around him. What are some of your first thoughts with these two matchups? Is it going to be easy for the Bills again this year, or are they going to be tested a little bit by these two teams?
I think it's advantageous that the Bills have the Dolphins in week 2. They're still trying to put a lot of offensive pieces together, and their defense is fitting a lot of new pieces together, particularly at the safety position, at the second level, and even up front. So it takes time to fit all that together. The Bills come in as a team full of continuity, so I think the advantage is there for them in week 2. They face them again in week 7 before they face another division team. They play the Dolphins twice before they play the Jets or the Patriots even once. I think the second matchup will be tougher. They'll kind of hit their stride a little bit, play better. The rookies will get up to speed, etc. So that'll be a tougher matchup. The Jets, they're just not ready to compete yet. I mean, they did a lot to build up that offense so they could score points and help Zach Wilson, but their defense needs a ton of work. It still has holes in it. Outside of their defensive front, they're going to have a lot of young players learning on the job.
And then quickly, the Patriots. This is the team that spent so much money in free agency, tight ends, defensive linemen. I
Yeah.
mean, they went everywhere in free agency. And then they add Mac Jones, Cam Newton. What's going to happen there? Is this going to be the toughest test for the Buffalo Bills?
Yeah,
here
I mean,
in
I
the
think
East?
New England rarely makes it easy, but they're fortunate that their fortunes are going to hinge on a quarterback, and I really think it's going to be Mac Jones week 1. I just don't think Cam Newton is starter material anymore, so they don't see him until late in the season. That's an advantage for Mac Jones. Get games under his belt before he's got to play a team like Buffalo. I think they're going to give him a tough time, but I think Buffalo emerges. Mac Jones is a rookie quarterback.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Week 1 against the Steelers. We cannot wait. Tickets go on sale in just a minute. Visit buffalobills.com/2021 tickets. Head over to NFL Network for their 3-hour show, schedule release 21 right now. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.